when you're cultivating flexible thinking, it's not about right or wrong. It's that in order for any mind to grow, thinking has to be stretched. It has to be stretched. It has to be opened up. It has to flex. It has to move around. So if we think about our traditional ways of teaching, sometimes we are focused on a piece of content that we want our students to know, and we almost tunnel towards that, rather than thinking about that piece of content in that student's mind will flourish if we're able to focus the student not just on a linear, approach to that piece of content, but to be able to think about it in a multifaceted way. So the first step is to raise expectation for engagement in your classroom. This means if you want your students to participate more, you have to work really hard at creating a safe environment for risk taking, because you want them to take a risk. It is not about them raising their hand when they know the right answer. Who cares if they know the right answer? You want them raising their hand and sharing their thinking in progress. And that is a risk. That is a huge risk that many, many students won't take. They will not raise their hand. They won't speak unless they are absolutely certain that they're right. So creating that safe environment, and you can talk about it. You can put it in the syllabus. One of the techniques that I like to use is inviting wrong answers. I'll share an experience I had a number of years ago. I was teaching a graduate class, and this happened to be in writing. Students were so reluctant about writing. Oh my God, I could not get this class to write. And it was actually a poetry class. And everybody was like, no, I don't write poetry. I can't write poetry. Are you kidding me? I don't want to. I can't. On and on and on. So this is about halfway through the semester. And I mean, nobody was writing. So I changed my assignment because I wanted them to keep a journal of poems. I changed the assignment. I said, all right, guys, we're not going to do a journal of poems anymore. We're going to do a journal of failed poems. I want you to put all your failures in that journal. That's all I care. I don't want anything good in there. I only want your junk. I want your failures. I want your embarrassed attempts. That's what I want. And it completely opened up the students. I mean, they were all said, well, yeah, I can write failed poems, no problem, right? I can fill it. So this idea, whatever your discipline, whether it's science or music or, inviting wrong is a way to open up your students' participation and engagement. Encourage rough draft thinking. This is another technique that, we have to retrain our graduate students in particular, because, graduate students are so different from undergrad students. Undergraduate students are kind of just making their way through class, right? Graduate students want to get it right. They are like heat-seeking missiles. They work. And for them to be able to share their thinking in progress is a bit of a stretch for them, but that's exactly what we want. So we want them, and I use the analogy of, when you write a paper and it's your rough draft, and you're not going to let anybody read your rough draft, you're only going to let them read it after it's revised and perfect. Well, we're actually going to share our thinking in this class when it's at the rough draft stage, when we know it's going to change, when we know it's not necessarily right yet. And that's an important step in opening up this opportunity for students to get engaged, because you can't change thought if you don't know what it is.